So this is protocols and port numbers part. Okay, then after that we'll see TCP UDP differences. After that we'll go into see the OSI. Protocols and port numbers. Protocols. So in a starting of networking, when we started networking, the very first one, what we discussed, why we need a network. Why we need a network? To communicate between the devices. What is meant by communication? What is meant to sharing of information, data, and resources. Or you can say to share information, data, resources, we need a network. Okay, or to communicate between the net devices. Different types of communications: web communication, mail communication, remote device access communications, file transfer related communication, remote authentications. Okay, authentication case update related communication, database access related connections and communications, right? So different types of communications are there. But how the devices understand what type of communication you want to do? For example, I have a remote server. One server is there, a physical server. So it's a web server or maybe a file server. It is webcam mail server. It's a web server and as well as a mail server also. So I want to access its website. So how I will access its website? How the other server understand you want web page? How that remote server understand you want a mail communication? Okay, so you have to specify that. I want a web page. I want mail communication. I want to upload a file to your server. Like that, you have to specify. How? Using protocols. So that's why the protocols defines what type of communication it is. What type of communications. The client and servers understand what kind of communication it is. Okay, what is the request? What is the response? They will understand by this protocols. Okay. Example like a web server, web pages. You send a web HTTP request, you're asking for a web page. FTP for file server for uploading and downloading file. SMTP for sending mails. POP3 IMAP for receiving mails. NTP time synchronization between your client and time servers. LDAP authentication server authenticating in the network. SSH TELNET RDP for remote access purpose. Simple. Next, we'll see different protocols. I listed some protocols, which is mostly we use in a regular daily. Most of these protocols will use it. Okay, and their port number. Port numbers are representation of that protocol or that related services. Port numbers also represents that related service part. Okay, protocols. HTTP, HTTPS belongs to web communication. Even you got a doubt that is how to remember all these protocols and their port numbers. Guys, depends upon what we are used daily. So based on that, you can remember the protocol. Automatically, you can remember the port numbers also. Okay. So daily we are accessing website. So to accessing website, what protocol use? HTTP, HTTPS. What is HTTPS? S means secure here. HTTPS is data which is sending and receiving is encrypted. HTTP data is not encrypted. HTTP port number is 80, HTTPS port number is 443. Data is encrypted in HTTPS, secure. Generally, banking websites. Generally, most of the website nowadays, we use HTTPS only. Okay, HTTPS. Because data is encrypted. So while data is transmitting through or internet or in network, so no one can capture your data. Even they capture data, they can't able to read what is in content. Next. FTP, File Transfer Protocol, to upload the file and download the file from remote server. Port number is 2021. Okay, this FTP later SFTP, VSFTP for encrypted data transmission. But FTP is not encrypted. Okay. SSH, Telnet, RDP. SSH or Telnet, RDP. These are remote access related. So I have a remote server. I want to access that server from my system. So that we use different types of protocol. One is SSH, Telnet, and RDP. SSH and Telnet is CLI based communication. Enter command line interface communication only. CLI based communication. SSH and Telnet. SSH by default encrypted. Data transmission is encrypted data only. Okay. Telnet by default not encrypted. RDP, remote desktop protocol. Entire desktop environment we can able to view from our system, remote device. Okay, remote desktop protocol. Entire that system desktop environment. Mainly RDP using Microsoft. SMTP, POP3, IMAP. These are used for mail communication. SMTP for sending mails. POP3 for incoming mails purpose. POP3 server means incoming mail server. SMTP server means outgoing mail server. You want to send a mail, SMTP request. You want to receive a mail from your mail server, use POP3 or IMAP. Okay. So IMAP and POP3 both are incoming mails. Only small difference. So SMTP by default port number is 31. SMTP 25, POP3 is 110, IMAP is 143. TFTP, Trivial File Transfer Protocol, port number is 69. DHCP, very important one. You know, understand now already DHCP. We got IP address from DHCP server. So our client send a request to DHCP server for IP address. The DHCP server give you an IP address. So they will understand what kind of protocol based on its, what kind of communication based on its protocol. DHCP port number 67, 68, which assign or configure IP address to the client devices. Their communication protocol is DHCP. DNS, domain name system, name to IP resolution. Name to IP resolve. Resolve name to IP or map name to IP address. Yeah, where I'm tracking. Yeah, DNS port number is 53. Name to IP, you want to access google.com, facebook.com. Okay. So our system send request to DNS server. A DNS request will send to a DNS server. So what is the IP address of google.com? DNS server will find that IP address of google.com and give it to you, your system. So you give a name, you got IP address. Simple. NTP, Network Time Protocol. So our system time is fixed here. In your mobile phone, laptop time is fixed. From which it is actually synchronizes. In our Windows, we have a time.windows.com. From that server, the time is fixed. So I'm unable to concentrate there. Next is KERBEROS LDAP. What is KERBEROS LDAP? Authentication Protocol. KERBEROS used in a Microsoft Active Directory services for authenticating their users in the network. They use KERBEROS. Similarly, LDAP. LDAP is a open type, means multiple people use LDAP protocol for authenticating in the network. SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol, which is used in the monitoring purpose to check the system status. MySQL. What is MySQL? MySQL is a database application. You want to connect your MySQL server to access that database from your system through network. The port number is 5506. You want to connect to Oracle database. You need a Oracle listener port number. Okay. So these port numbers also based on their application or service related connect on. Of course, same thing. Okay, these are the different protocols. Once again, HTTP, HTTPS is a very important question, guys. What is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS? HTTP, HTTPS are web-related protocols, web communication. You send HTTP requests or HTTPS request to the web server, you got a HTTP response or a HTTPS response, you will say it. That's what the difference is. HTTP, the data is not encrypted. HTTPS is data is encrypted. HTTP, HTTPs. So I'm passing suddenly mind stop on. Okay. So you have to split things into small based on daily use. So you can able to remember. Daily we are accessing different website. So what are the protocol? HTTP, HTTPS. You're sending mails, SMTP, POP3, IMAP. See, complete. Okay. So your system got an IP address from DHCP server. Which protocol? DHCP protocol. You're accessing google.com, facebook.com, youtube.com. Who will give you their IP address? DNS server. You put a only name, but you will get a IP address. System will get IP address from the DNS server. Okay. You log into your system, authentication. KERBEROS and LDAP for authentication purpose. Your system time is set by the time server using the time protocol. You upload the file, download the files. FTP protocols. Okay. like this. So which one is we are done? We'll see that. So these are the protocols and their port numbers. Okay, 1 second, just a minute. Okay, guys, these are the protocols and port numbers. So one more is that is TCP UDP difference. TCP and UDP. What is this TCP and UDP? Transmission Control Protocol. Yes.
User datagram protocol.
Very good. User datagram protocols. Okay. TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, User Datagram Protocol. Next step. What we do? TCP. Yeah. We discussed about different protocols, right? HTTP, FTP, like that. So these protocols, either it is TCP type protocols. For example, HTTP is a TCP type protocol. SMTP is a TCP type protocol. FTP is a TCP type protocol. UDP, DHCP is a UDP type protocol. DNS is a UDP protocol. Actually, DNS is both in both places. TFTP is UDP protocol. FTP is a TCP protocol. TFTP is a UDP type protocols. Next. So what is so important here? Because in the interview, they ask difference between TCP and UDP. So TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, UDP Datagram Protocol. Some protocols are TCP type, some are UDP type. Example, HTTP, SMTP, FTP. These are TCP type protocol, and DHCP, DNS, TFTP are a UDP type protocols. Then what is the use? What is their differences? TCP type protocols are acknowledgement based protocol. Acknowledgement based protocol. UDP protocols are non-acknowledgement, means they don't use acknowledgements. No acknowledgement here. This is acknowledgement is there for every deliveries. Source send data to destination. Destination will give acknowledgement to the source. Okay, so source understand, destination is received. So that's what it is. Connection oriented means TCP type protocols check the connectivity before it is sending the data. So it is connection oriented. This is connectionless. Okay, it is reliable. This is non-reliable. Some people say Connection oriented means wide connection. So connectionless means Wi-Fi. Now guys, connection oriented means whether destination is available or not, destination is able to receive my packets or not, source will check that one first. Okay. In connectionless means source don't know, destination is available, connected or not also. They are able to receive or not also, they don't know. Simple. You see, source and destination. The source sent packet to destination. And destination received, it will give an acknowledgement. The source thing, the destination is received the packet. Same thing, source send packet to destination. In case destination not send acknowledgement, no acknowledgement. Okay, no acknowledgement. Then what it will do? Source thing, destination is not received a packet. Source send a packet to destination. Destination not send any acknowledgement. Means source not received acknowledgement from the destination. So source thing, this specific packet is not delivered to destination. So it will send that packet again. Till it receive the acknowledgement. Okay. So this is why it is called connection oriented, reliable, and all. So it's a guaranteed delivery, destination received or not. No errors also. But UDP types protocols work differently. Like this, source send data to destination. Whether destination is received or not received, we don't know. We'll send the packet to the destination. Okay, this is TCP UDP differences. Transmission control protocol, user datagram protocol. Some protocols are TCP type, some are UDP type protocols. Example, HTTP, FTP, SMTP. UDP, example, DHCP, DNS, TFTP. TCP type protocols are acknowledgement based, UDP is non-acknowledgement, no acknowledgements we use. TCP is a connection oriented, UDP is a connectionless protocol. TCP is reliable, UDP is non-reliable. And in TCP, source send data to destination, destination give acknowledgement. So source understand, destination receive the packet. Next. Source send packet to destination. In a UDP, source send packet to destination. Destination not send any acknowledgement to the source, then source don't know destination is received or not. In TCP, if destination source not received acknowledgement from the destination, source think destination is not received a packet, so it will send it again. These are the basic difference between TCP and UDP. This is it. Okay. Now we have to go to the OSI model. So that's one of the main part. Take small break. Just read what we have discussed, then we'll start the OSI. Or read about OSI also, no problem. Or take rest, it is important. We'll be back in 5:10. Not 5:10, 5:05. So it's already 5 o'clock. Not 5:10. 5:05. Just 5 minutes. We'll start again. Okay. 5:05. 5 minutes.